Okay, let's see here.
Uh, knock, knock, knock.
This...
Hey, Pleeps,
Oh,
you got a moment?
yeah. Why did you open my door and just say knock, knock, knock?
I look, man. You're talking to a guy in character that shook hands with a hag.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I've done some
yeah.
stupider things.
Anyways, just don't look at my screen right now. What do you want?
Yeah. So, I wanted to pitch to you a potential rework to one of the official subclasses. Uh,
Oh, so what you're saying is, welcome to our new series, Rework.
yep. And we just
Ideally, I would like to try these for like every single thing, but we'll see. So Ross's job is to pitch
yep,
something, and just like
yep,
the Approved or Not, our sister series,
yep.
I'm gonna look at it and
Say what he likes and doesn't like.
judge it. Yeah.
And I think what I'm going to do, at least at the beginning bit, because what I did, I have sent Pleeps the Google Doc that
Yeah.
I use for this.
Yep.
And what I had done, just to make things look a little nicer than just black on white with white in the background, is I've actually color coded the stuff to where, for the most part, what was originally kept, what was either added or what was reworked. And
Okay. So,
I'll look on
uh,
Pleeps' screen whenever we're talking about this, just so it's easier for us to both keep
oh,
track and know what we're looking at.
you actually want to look at my? Okay.
I mean, that's what we normally do for approved or not. It's easier to keep track
Yeah.
of it like that.
Approved. Okay. There we go.
So
Here we
yeah,
go.
light blue is the original
Ross,
tag.
I'll be honest.
Yep.
Just breaking kayfabe for a second. If we were doing that, I wouldn't have sent you anything. I would just have to do my own notes myself.
You know what? Good point. Good point.
Anyway, the light blue is original text. So light blue is
What
the text from the original, because original
Yep.
text sounds like it's new text. Light green is new. Yellow is stuff that's been reworked. I am also going to be referencing this here for
Yep.
how the Undying. So,
The only thing I did not
reading.
touch was the extra spells, mainly
Yep.
because
All
I did
right.
not know
So,
what I would swap out.
starting at first level, you learn the Spirit of the Dying cantrip, which counts the warlock cantrip for you. You also have advantage on save those against any disease. Additionally, undead have. If you're undead target, if an undead targets you directly attack or harmful, you must make a Wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. No, but on a failed save, the creature must choose a new target or forfeit targeting someone instead of you, potentially wasting the attack or spell. On successful save, the creature means it's Sanctuary.
Yeah, this is
You
just
are permanent
sanctuary.
dead
So
Sanctuary.
for specifically undead, that is broken complete immediately. Yeah, so I had actually put down the actual abilities of the subclass first, and
Choose a new.
then so like the next
Yeah,
next part is the
yeah.
uh yeah. The only reason why that's a bit that ability is so restricted on
Oh,
just a one type.
all right, but let's keep going.
Yep.
Trident, you can give yourself vitality when you cheat death or when you help someone else cheat it. You can gain hit points equal to 1d8 plus your constitution modifier. When you succeed on a death saving throw, or when you stabilize a creature with Spare the Diving, once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. At 10th level, you can hold your breath indefinitely. You don't require food or water to sleep, although you still require air to rest to reduce exhaustion and still benefit from finishing short and long rests. In addition, you age slower. Okay. Interview to
Basically
be
a
naturally
nothing
aged.
feature.
14th level, once you you partake of some of the true secrets. Once on your turn, you can use one action to regain hit points equal to 1d. On your turns, additionally, if you put a severed body of yours back in once for long rest, you can heal 1d8 plus 1 and reattach severed body parts.
So here's my issue with this subclass.
All right.
Well, let's first tackle the 14th level because that's the most egregious.
Yeah, I will
We
say
pushed
yeah.
14 levels to get a healing mechanic as a bonus action that's worse than the fighters. That is unacceptable.
Yeah. I think the big thing is supposed to be the severed body part thing, but you're right. If that's not coming up a lot in your campaign, which admittedly doesn't come up a lot in my campaigns.
Right, it doesn't come up ever.
But
Practically.
let me see what you did.
Yep.
So let me put my reading glasses on, and I will tell you how I feel. Okay.
I also didn't like how it was just to undead, so that's where this first feature comes in. The hated foe.
Starting at level 1, when you finish a long rest, you can choose a creature type. When you make any checks to remember or learn knowledge about a creature, you gain an advantage. This can be for any history, nature, survival, and religion check about a creature of that type.
So,
I have issues, but we'll talk about that in a second. Looking at, yeah. So that's our first thing.
Yeah, that's our first thing.
You learn this pair which counts as a warlock cantrip for you. You also have advantage on saving throws against. So, additionally, the creature type you have chosen for hate will have difficulty harming you if a creature. The grammar's bad, but harm spell or other effects that would damage you. The creature must make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC on a failed save. The creature must choose a new target for your. If you potentially waste an attack effect, if it was a spell with an area of effect or an area effect such as dragon's breath weapon, they still use it. If they'd fail. If you had sacked the creature this round, the creature has advantage on this wisdom save.
So basically, what I had done here was, my thought process was for the original. It was the fact that it was only a dead made it to where more than likely, unless you're in something like Curse of Strahd, you would never use it. But also,
Undead are common. I want to point out.
Right now, but the
here,
other
you talk about your issues. Let me talk my issues.
Okay.
You have taken away the flavor. You have taken away. This is supposed to be the undead adjacent warlock. You have removed that.
Here is what I'm also gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a need to have two undead-related warlocks. We have the Undying and the Undead.
Either way, my point still stands. I have to dock points for this. But that's not all.
That's fair.
I think the ability you have replaced it with is too strong.
That is fair. Originally, when I was literally talking to Eve, and Eve can tell you this, because I actually pitched her some of the ideas. Especially if we look at the additional thing where I actually added the fact that you basically gain the benefits of evasion. I literally said, there's a chance I'm thinking I might attach this to a later level as like if the ability upgrades later on, but I was not sure.
I will say that is very strong. That's not what makes this ability too strong. The balancing in the original wording is that it's limited. Removing that limitation causes issues.
Right, and can I name why I have an issue with that hard limitation for that?
I mean, you did, but you can reiterate it.
It's simply for the fact of, let's say we are fighting undead.
Mm-hmm.
That means that for this entire fight, which let's say the whole entire fight is undead, I basically can't do anything without losing the one feature that I'm getting for this subclass.
Ross,
you know what I mean?
I hate to make a point, Ross. Your modification doesn't change that. Your modification doesn't solve that issue.
The thing that I had removed the fact that they are immune to 24 hours. That is something that I had removed. But if you attack them during that round, they have advantage on the save. So there's still a chance that it's affected.
I get what you're saying, Ross. But like I said, you've made something too strong. And I will tell you why, okay? But the issue is, you have made something so overpowered that I have to talk about it in multiple parts.
Okay.
There are several aspects that if you want me to actually approve this, you need to change. So let's start with the big one. The one that you really like. Starting at first level, when you finish a long rest, you can choose a creature type.
Yep. It'd have to be at the very beginning of the day.
Generally speaking, Ross, you know what you're dealing with any given day. What you have basically made is you always have Sanctuary. Which I remind you is a high-level monk feature for a very specific subclass.
And that monk feature also has a lot of issues. Like, it has the exact same problem as the warlock one, where it's like, they don't get to do... Literally, that one specifically...
Ross,
that one goes away...
That monk ability is considered one of the most OP abilities in the game.
That is not true.
That's not me saying it.
That is factually not true, because here's the thing.
Yes.
Literally, the reason why that one's not strong is the fact that as soon as you do anything to an enemy... Oh, well, my level, 11 feature? Yeah. gone for the rest of the day, no matter what.
Okay.
And
Well,
monks have good initiatives where like more than likely they're going to be starting off combat.
I want to look at some. I want to reference something because I'm pretty sure you're wrong, but it's besides the point, really. You gain the effect of Sanctuary spell that lasts until the start of your next long rest. The same though. Yeah, nothing about this ending for the day.
But here's the thing though. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
say how it ends, which means that hey, we have to refer to
Okay.
how the sanctuary spell
Yes.
works, and that's how it works.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But let me get back to business. Okay? Because, yes.
Right.
Number one, that's a level 11 ability. Which means I have to compare it to. You know by law I have to. But my real issue isn't that nature of that ability. It's the fact that you've turned something that is meant to be conditional into something that, plain and simple, you now get to basically use every fight.
I mean, here's the thing I want to bring up though.
Mm-hmm.
You say that we know what we're fighting.
Generally, yes.
That is not always the case. Can I refer to back when we tier ranked the barbarians? Specifically,
well, okay.
Specifically the path of what is it called? It's the one where you had the psychic type damage. The one where you had the bestial transformations.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that basically you're not me making that ability into a short rest rather than a long rest would not work. The one where you could either choose to have a swimming speed, a climbing speed, or I think it was like increased jump height or something like that, but we don't have to talk about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Because by that point, you just made it too strong. The fact that you're able to like just swap it out at a dime.
Okay, yes, but I think you're putting a false equivalency. So let me finish my point, because again,
Okay.
you are trying to justify this to me. See, if you want to counter something, you probably should let me explain what it is I need you to actually counter. Okay? So, okay, back where I was. Generally speaking, and I am using the word generally for a reason, you know, as an example, if you're going into a dragon's den, you're fighting dragons, you're probably going to fight maybe some kobolds. You know if you're going in a goblin den what you're fighting. And most importantly, what is the most common human type, especially for early game D&D? Sorry, the most common enemy type, especially for early game D&D.
Okay. The way I said that first was a little confusing. It would have to be either undead or humanoid. One of the two.
Humanoid.
I would say humanoid's more than likely, but I would say that
yes, humanoid is the answer.
I would say you probably find a good number of undead.
I will argue, Ross, if you say that, then you are kind of losing a bit of your steam here. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say humanoid. Because A, that helps the argument I'm trying to make right now. That means that generally speaking, you can keep it on humanoid. Especially early game. And you have an extremely powerful ability at what is basically no resource cost to yourself. Remember, Sanctuary is a first level spell.
That's fair. That's a fair argument.
Yes. But again, that is issue number one. The fix to this, and you're going to hate this fix because it gets us back to where we started. The thing I would ask is you pick a monster type at the start of the campaign. But based on what you're saying, that just creates the same issue you had originally.
We could meet in the middle ground and say, instead of you changing it during a long rest, we could change it after you gain the ability to change this type once you leveled up.
I would argue that doesn't change anything. And also, that is entirely way too reflective of how often you're leveling up in a campaign.
You know what? That's true.
The balance level on that. I'm not gonna go with that. For all intents and purposes, Ross, that's only issue number one. Let's get to issue number two. All right. Against your spell save DC on a fail save, the creature must choose a new target or forfeit. Yep. So this is all the same wording as before.
Yeah, most of it I did keep the same text, and frankly, I probably should have highlighted it in blue.
Yeah. If it was a spell with an effect such as dragons. Yeah, you probably said it yourself. That evasion effect.
Maybe I should have could have pushed
strong.
it at. Maybe I should have pushed it to a later level, like as like an upgrade to this.
I think even then we'd have to discuss. Because again, we still have issue 1. Issue 1 is actually taking all the other issues and making them so much worse. But let's keep going, because I'm not done. Another thing you pointed out. I'm actually going to go back to the original wording to make sure I'm correct about this. This is so essential for the class's balance. And I'm going to explain to you why, but first I want you to understand this is very essential. The essentialness I'm going to state is, if you are unwilling to put this back in, there is no shot of approval. So, let's take a look at the effect as it is here.
Yeah, as it normally is, which is
yes. The creature must make a Wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. But the usual rules.
Yep, usual rules of Sanctuary.
On a failed save, the target blah blah blah. This is all Sanctuary wording.
Yep.
So now let's put us in a scenario where you are in a fight. As a reminder, this does not have the caveat that if you attack, it goes away because it isn't Sanctuary. Right?
Correct.
In fact, even the caveat yeah. Correct. So, yeah. Especially with the stuff you've done to it. So, let's get back to business, okay?
Right.
So, an undead, let's say a zombie, just for sake of simplicity, attacks you. And fails to save.
Yep, so now they have to choose a new target, which, let's say in this example, there isn't anyone, so they attack just missiles.
And then the next turn, they attack you, they make the save, they hit.
Yep.
What type of save is it again?
It's a wisdom save.
So, what happens if a reasonably powerful enemy can't make wisdom saves for shit, but manages to make it one time? That fight is one that you basically automatically win, even if you're the last party member alive.
Here is the other thing as well, which I want to bring up. That isn't the only stipulation of when it ends. If we ever attack or cast a spell on that creature, they also become unaffected by this effect.
Correct, but your version doesn't include that.
Correct.
I remember, I'm judging your version, and I'll be honest, I'm actually fine dropping that part with the stipulation that you've already had with the advantage. I'm actually fine with that part.
Right. I think at the very least having advantage on the save makes a little bit more sense.
Correct. But yes. But again, the 24-hour immunity clause has to stay. It exists in the game for a reason. And that basically boils it down. The very first feature you kind of like put in my face. That basically what it boils down to.
I think at the very least, maybe...
I will say, adding this is nice. Yeah, I like adding this.
Yeah, specifically, that's what got me to, like, okay, I don't want it to just singlify undead. Like, our patron might be a lord of undead, but it's like, my thought process when I came up with, like, the hated foes type of idea is this person, which could not even just be not just be a lich, it could just be a creature of these types that just hates life in general. A lich is a good example, but it's like you're knowledgeable of other life to know how to counter it, which
I mean, again,
you could see in a later feature.
Yeah. I get the idea. I get what you're going for here, but here is what I would say. Being able to pick the creature type is too strong. especially being able to pick it daily. Picking it when you level up, maybe. Picking it...
Okay.
I said maybe. Picking it when you take it is the more likely case, but in that case, here's what I'm going to say. We're at the same boat here. The Undying Warlock's feature is really good if you know you're in a campaign that deals with a lot of undead. Now you've just given yourself the ability to pick different creature types, but it stands as a reason. You have to know you're in a campaign that deals with them a lot.
Right.
But let's keep going.
We could also go the direction of Ranger's favorite foe by having it to where at certain level, I don't know what the exact levels are.
Correct. We could do that. We
where
could
we can add more types to it.
But let's keep going because you've added more stuff. So this is.
I basically just kept that the same, except made it to where you can use it more often.
You can use it honestly. Yeah, honestly, reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, going to 6th level for only one-time use for heal.
Efficiency. You're right. You're spelling, but I'm gonna ignore this.
Oh yeah, sorry.
It's Ross. Bleeps.
Yep. This one I was thinking about potentially pushing later levels, but I like the coolness of this type of idea.
It does not gel with flavor, but fair enough. But I'm gonna note this is too strong.
That's fair.
This is what you have basically given yourself, Ross, is unlimited counter spells later on. Actually, not even later on. At this point.
Well, I was gonna say, technically, it would be unlimited counter spells, but you also gotta consider the fact that, hey, what if this warlock? Let's say we're at 5th level. We already used our free counter spells, and we have 1 pack slot left. Now, here's the thing as well. Not all enemies, and we've actually experienced a good number of them in a couple of your stuff, where abilities that could be considered spells aren't.
Yes, you're not wrong, but the issue still stands.
That's fair.
The issue is as notable, especially because a lot of warlocks are built with basically Eldritch Blast. Let's be real. They're built with Eldritch Blast as their main offensive, meaning that their back slots often save for stuff like counterspell. Infinite counterspells is strong. The extra counterspells that you can use, I would say proficiency bonus might be a bit much. Maybe just a flat 3 times.
Maybe.
But yes, but this second paragraph's gotta go.
Yeah, I tried to make the wording of the second paragraph more so specific in the vein of, if you use this for a warlock spell slot, you'd only be replacing that spell slot. This isn't a case of they gain an extra spell slot.
Yeah, again, I get what you're saying, but it still creates the problem. Then we get Undying Nature, which
that one just has basically no actual gameplay effect. So I was like,
okay,
which again, I left a bonus idea in case of. Yeah.
I think idea 2 is reasonable. Idea 1 has a lot of the same problems that we've already discussed.
Right. Which there'd be if we were to continue on with this rework for the second one, we'd have to figure out which all the types are. I just listed a few example ones.
Yeah. No, I get you. All right.
And then
this is really what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. This is the big one. You're going 14 levels into this. This is gonna be something good.
1d8 times your prestige doom. When you do this, and at least one creature of the same type as your hated foe's features is within 60 feet of you, you can deal damage to all creatures of your hated foe type equally. You heal without a saving throw of a damage type. That creature is neither immune nor vulnerable.
So can I give?
Let me finish reading.
Oh, okay.
Unless the creature has no damage type that fits this category, would choose a vulnerability. The DM chooses which DM type this does, which does not have to damage. Doing once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest, or you expend a pack slot to gain it back. So I think you may have overcorrected a bit.
Here's what I'm going to add some clarification for. Rereading it, what I had intended was 1d8, a number of 1d8s equal to your proficiency bonus, not 1d8 then times your proficiency bonus.
Ooh,
That
wow.
yeah, that's what I had intended. It would still
All right.
be roughly the equivalent.
Yeah,
but
I stand. I mean, the math is literally the exact same.
Right. No, that's just something I wanted to correct. Like that. That's what I had meant.
It's an irrelevant correction because it's the same math.
Right.
It is literally the same math. That being said, yes, I believe you overcorrect. Again, I will agree with you that despite my own reservations on Undying being bad as a whole, I will contend with you that Undying's capstone is underpowered, undercooked.
Really undercooked.
But here's my issue. Here is my issue. Okay?
Okay.
Additionally, when you do at least one creature's, you do all creatures of hated foe type equal to your health that you heal without a saving throw. Without a saving throw.
Before you continue with that, can I put up a little bit of a counter argument? Because this is for 2014. There is a warlock that has an ability that does damage without having a saving throw involved either, and that is the Fiend Warlock.
Well, I think I know what you're talking about, but let me take a look because I have a point.
Right. Hurl through hell. Oh yeah, it's also a banishment. A pocket banishment.
Yeah. Yes, but let's get back. At the end of your next turn, the target returns to space it previously. Okay. First off, hard limit right here.
Yep. Which.
Second off, and this is really important part here. Read this a couple times.
A creature with an attack.
The highlighted part.
Oh, a creature. Single target. Which, honestly, that's fair. I could probably just make the ability a single creature. That is absolutely fair.
No, Ross, absolutely not.
Huh?
I made very clear what I'm asking for, Ross. I don't think this. I want to be clear, Ross. There is one thing I want you to do to make me approve this capstone. One thing.
Add a save.
Yes. That's it. That's all you got to do. Maybe I over-exaggerate how much you were overcooking. I will say, I think it should be save or suck. But a save would do it.
Okay,
I would say
maybe
con or wisdom.
Maybe a save that you choose? Would that be too strong for this?
That would be too strong. We gotta settle on something. My brain is saying con or wisdom.
Something that would be really complicated, but something I guess we could do is we could do it, like, specify to what the creature type is. So, like, a dragon would be dexterity or something.
I think that hurts. I think that hurts some things.
Right.
I think just have it be something.
You know, we have stuff that's already wisdom save. This could be a wisdom save.
All right. So, all right. Now it's time for a fun little segment I call my final notes. Are you ready?
Okay.
Now, we had discussions. I have given you chances to dissuade me, but at the end of the day, you weren't able to do so much. All right. So, in note 1, hated foe. I love what you did. Adding checks does give it a bit more flexibility.
Yep.
Choosing a creature type on a long rest is too strong. So, especially for what it does next. With that in mind, I will, reluctantly, keep in mind, I will allow you to change it on a level up. But I am putting a caveat next to this.
Okay. Which, right, I gave you editing privileges, so if you want to make the note
I know,
yourself.
These are... this is a verbal video, where I was reviewing your changes.
Right, no,
Yeah. Okay. So, right, where was I? I lost track of what I was saying. Dang it. Okay, yeah. Yes, the caveat. The caveat. Right, the caveat. One small caveat to the previous you could change on a level up.
Okay.
As a DM, beyond level 1, I reserve the right to reject changes. Basically, if you're like, hey, Pleeps, I just leveled up to level 4. Could I have my hated foe switch to fiends? I could be like, no. I think for this campaign that would be too strong. I will tell you this. It is not a right I would invoke frequently.
Okay.
So that is number 1. All right. Well, you didn't change this; just called a different name.
I mean, I just kept the first part because it's like, hey, I mean, what's nothing wrong with giving a warlock a free cantrip? Sure, it's better than dying, but I mean, it's an extra cantrip that can come in handy at some point.
This is the big one. This is the big one.
Yeah, this is the big one.
The evasion effect has to go. Which you understood that to be the case. You must add the 24-hour save back in. I know you felt it makes you useless to have them be immune, but keep in mind that extra few turns could save the party's life.
Okay.
So the 24-hour effect needs to stay.
Okay.
All right. This I am honestly perfectly fine with.
Yep. I mean,
I already told you this. This has to go.
at the very least, you gotta admit it was cool. It's a cool idea at the very least.
And for this, we'll just use this feature.
Yeah, which we would figure out what. I mean, Celestial would be Radiant.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, there'd be specifics for it.
And finally, just add a saving throw.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Also, do you like the idea of the type of damage changing depending on what? As long as it's not a vulnerability or resisted damage.
One final thing.
What's up?
This is not a balance note.
Oh, okay.
But
just something for a future for future one of these.
No, it's for this one.
Oh, okay.
It's just not a balance note, so you have no obligation to actually follow it.
Oh, okay.
With the wording of how you've rewritten things, this is not the Undying warlock.
That is fair. Okay.
My thinking is your patron is someone who has sworn vengeance, is an entity that wishes revenge, maybe like a ghost or something. You know what? That's it. Yeah, your patron is a ghost.
All right.
Yes.
But yeah, we're not gonna do these super often. I think what I want to do. I know, I started off track, but something I would like to do is maybe revisit some of the classes that we have tier ranked low.
Well, that is true. I will say this. As a completionist, I like the idea of eventually having a rework for every base class, but start with the stuff that you actually think needs to rework.
Right. Like, only start with the ones that necessarily need a rework, which, at the very least, for the ones that we've covered, it's this subclass and the... Not the Berserker. What was the Barbarian that had to deal with armor?
Battle Rager.
Cause
I don't even know how you'd begin.
Like, you gotta admit, that one needs a rework.
Desperately. Anyways, if you'll excuse me, I have a TPK to prep.
It's not for the Dragon City, was it?
No.
Okay, good. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this, and I mean, hey, comment down below. What do you think of my rework? And you know what? Maybe a comment could persuade him. Not maybe. I'm putting a heavy maybe on that.
That maybe should be like 1,000 pounds, if not more.
Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and as always, stay tuned for more. Bye bye.